Um,
So we'll just
I think
continue. Oh, sorry.
okay,
Go ahead. No,
Oh,
go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, I think that some other things that you can see other like families prioritizing out in public are like name brand clothes or things like that. Like there seems to be a lot of that in our area anyways. Like the kids all like want name brand type of stuff and like fashion and things like that, or even like online status, that type of thing. That tends to be a priority for some people, some kids that we've seen.
I think too, as sad as it is, like I think being on phones a lot is a priority for a lot of parents. I see that, and I see some of my friends like struggling with it a little bit too, but like social media and just like more attention to their phone than they should be doing.
Good. What types of hobbies or activities do young families enjoy doing together as a family? What are some things maybe you've done with your family or that you have noticed other families doing a lot of?
We camp a lot.
Yeah, camping.
We have little kids, so we like playing games a lot.
We do a lot of outdoor activities, hunting, fishing, walking, and we also really like to cook with our middle one. She enjoys cooking and coloring.
Coloring. It's a big one.
Unfortunately, I hate it.
I love coloring, so we do a lot of coloring.
We go on bike rides when it's nice enough out.
We do that every day too.
We have been walking a lot.
Yeah.
Especially now, a lot. Every day we go out for at least 4 miles, and today it was raining, so I'm like going, oh my gosh, I can't go out.
I know.
That's good. Definitely, our activities have definitely changed in the past month, haven't they? Why do you think parents bring their kids to church? Like, what is their biggest draw to that? You've probably noticed some parents, and even we were one of those too, that we had kind of fallen away from church for quite a while, and then once we had kids, that was suddenly a draw for us. And so
I was like that too, definitely. Jordan and I got married at Colwood, so we've been there on and off for a long time. And then after we were married, we didn't really come regularly. And then after the kids were a little bit older and Cade was able to be left apart from me for more than 3 seconds, I started coming back. Jordan hasn't, but I think my draw to bringing the kids is that I grew up in church, and I know how important my relationship is with God, and I want them to have that good base that I had growing up too. And to learn it from someone else and not just me.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That moral foundation of faith.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing about, the way I was raised. And I think too, just like how hard our world kind of is sometimes, and all the stuff out there, like it's going to be hard enough for kids, like when they go to college, to keep that relationship with God. So I feel like you kind of really have to start it young and start it early and make sure they have a good relationship early.
The other thing for us is it surrounds yourself as a family and your kids with like-minded families, adults, friends. Our kids, we have the luxury of private parochial school, so they not only go to church on every Sunday, which it does count for school, but they get religion class every day. And we were both raised in a parochial school, so to us it's really important to pass that on to our kids, because we did end up going to public college and high school, and it's definitely a difference. You can tell the kids who have that foundation and stay true to what they were taught versus maybe they weren't taught that at home, or going to church.
I agree with you on that. My husband was raised in a Lutheran school, and his knowledge of the Bible, like far, and I was in church every single Sunday growing up, and we read the Bible, and it was still like night and day difference between his knowledge of the Bible and mine, and like his relationship with God and his like stability of his faith was very different from mine with going to a public school, which is, I know, probably not the only difference clearly, but yeah, I really looked for like some kind of Christian school for my kids, but we did decide to do public, so I struggle with that a little bit.
And I mean, it was funny because even in high school, we went from a class of 11 to a class of 96, and the Lutheran school kids, parochial school kids, we tended to stick together in our groups of friends because we weren't the kids out drinking, we weren't the kids out partying, and so we kind of, you know, we saw that, we want that for our kids too.
Yeah, we've sent our kids to a Lutheran preschool, and it's like part of me is like always felt a little bit torn, even though we always knew we were going to send our kids to public school because my husband's a teacher. It's like part of it is appealing if we could have done that.
We're trying to help Jackie. Can anybody hear Jackie?
No.
No. Jackie, can you hear us at all? Yeah, you can hear us, but we can't hear you.
Can you unmute everyone, Kelly? Because we had that problem with White School. She might be muted from your end as the administrator.
Oh yeah, that happened at our work once.
Yeah, try unmuting everybody again. And then she should have an option to click to join in.
Do you know where that's at?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I just know
I've
I
never
was on the
been the
muted end.
administrator.
Yeah, I haven't either. Let's see. Because I can, like, she has a little mute button in the corner of her screen, and I hit that.
I just need you to mommy.
Oh yeah, I see that. She must have to unmute herself somehow. Oh, now it's gone. Oh, nope.
If she clicks the screen along the bottom, there should be an option bar that comes up, and the bottom left is the mute or unmute from our end.
Yeah. Yeah, there's two of them. There's one on the very bottom, and then there's one on your screen by your face.
Yeah.
And you have, both of those are unmuted.
Did you get the other stuff done? No. Okay. You have to do all that. That'll help you do that.
Okay. All right. Well, she'll just type in her answers so we can read her answers, and we'll just try to keep rolling here. Next question. What do you think brings families specifically to Colwood Church, or bringing them to Colwood Kids? I think that's the point here.
There's a great kids program.
Yes, I agree. And I think with the kids going to a public school, having them have those friends that are at church, you know, they see that there are kids that, you know, I mean, nobody's perfect, but that can act differently and, you know, be learning the same stuff for faith that they are and not think that it's uncool. So I love having the option with the programs that we have for our kids.
I just want them to be able to learn about God, and I want to be able to be honest, right? It's like I don't know, when I first started going to Colwood, I had a hard time because I grew up Lutheran and I wanted my kids to sit in the church with me and learn how to behave in church.
Yeah.
And that became less important. So I guess my priority is that they're learning God at a level they can understand.
Yeah.
And that's why I send them into Sunday schools, because I want them to be able to learn that at their level.
For me, the same thing, being raised Lutheran, it seems the Lutheran mindset is more about like knowledge acquisition and just knowing it versus applying it to your life. And
Yeah,
at
sure.
Callwood, it's definitely more teaching them how to apply it to their everyday life. The atmosphere, it's more accepting. The Lutherans tend to be can be standoffish. You don't ask questions. So it's just a different type of atmosphere that I very much appreciate, and I want my kids to see kind of the difference, because Lutherans can sometimes think they're above and better. And I want them to see like all Christians, all Christianity, the same basic faith is the same, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think the role of the church is in guiding the family spiritually? Like, what do you think our job is here for you?
I think helping us find the tools to continue teaching our kids at home throughout the week, and just giving us support in our journeys together.
I think it can help to redirect too, because if you kind of like, stumble along the way and kind of get off track, then, you go to church and you can kind of get back on track and have that fresh start again.
Mhm.
Like a little motivation, like she was saying, if you stumble a little bit and you either like stop doing some of the practices that you should be doing or were doing, it can help restart you with those things.
This is a fake phone.
No,
by
it
the way.
isn't. No, it isn't.
It's not a real phone.
Then how does this look real? How does that
My
screen look
7-year-old
real?
doesn't have a phone.
This is a real phone. You can turn it on.
As we're talking about electronics, my kids don't have phones.
This is
They
a
use my phone.
this is a real
And that's
phone.
barely.
This is a real phone, except
Come
it's dead.
Hi, Abby.
Beep boop beep. I'm calling.
Go back to your schoolwork.
Never. I don't have any right now.
Yeah. She sounds like my teenagers. What do you think is the role of the parent in guiding their family spiritually? So we talked about church. What is the role of the family or the parents?
I think it's definitely the main. I mean, we shouldn't expect, I don't expect the church to teach my children. I same with the resources that the girls said. I think it's so helpful, because otherwise I don't even know where I would even go to find out the information and stuff to teach them. But I think the parents' role is definitely the most important. And with what the church gives us, it just helps it to so much more than I think I ever could myself.
And ultimately, it's the parents' responsibility to teach them in the way they'll go.
Yeah, like helping them apply it to their everyday life when we see them struggling throughout the week, going back to what they've talked about at church, or what we've learned at church, and helping them apply that to their situation.
Do you find that easy to do in the midst of everyday life?
No, not always.
Does that come natural to people, to anybody? I think that's hard for me as a parent. Like,
It depends on the day.
yeah.
Some days it's easier than others.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I would say it's definitely easier right now in quarantine. Like, I almost want to say, yeah, it's easy right now, but a couple months ago when I was working full time,
Right.
You're just a little bit more stressed. You're a little bit less focused. Like, you're a little bit more trying to just get through your routine.
And you just have so much less time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely, like making sure that communication is there between you and your kids. That's definitely our responsibility, making sure they feel safe talking to us. and, you know, letting us know their issues.
What are some good ways that you build communication with your kids? Most of you have younger kids, so how are you working to build that communication that will hopefully have good return on the teen years? You know what I mean?
I started just when the kids were little, in general, communicating openly about a lot of stuff, about everything, and just letting them talk when they want to. I found, like, especially my daughter, she's 11 now, if I ask her something, she's like, I don't know, or I'm not sure. But if I just create kind of a calm environment for her and just let her talk at her own speed, she asks a lot of really good questions, and we have a lot of really good conversations. But if I try to force the conversation, it doesn't work. And I found that with both of them, if I just create kind of a situation that allows them to feel comfortable asking questions, that's really helped us keep open communication since they've been little.
And I try to be honest with our kids is age appropriate. So, you know, if they ask a question that, even if it's a topic that maybe you weren't quite prepared to go into, I try to at least give something.
Mm-hmm.
You might kind of scale that back, but I just I want to plant the seed, because my oldest just turned 7 and my youngest is almost 3. And so it's like, I want to kind of start that now, where they know they can come to me and that I will talk through something with them or answer their question, even if maybe it's not, you know, what you're hoping to talk about.
Or not the most comfortable thing for you to talk about, or kind of gets you out of your comfort zone. Because I've had her ask me questions about, you know, things in the church, and my parents are different. My dad is Catholic and my mom is Baptist, so there's a lot of different information. So I've had her ask really interesting questions and really kind of get me out of my comfort zone to talk about some stuff. And she's just very open, and I don't know if that's just part of her personality, but I hope that I helped shape that, as, you know, from when she was younger.
And we've always kind of set the ground rule with our kids since they were little. We've always told them there's never a stupid question. You can always ask mommy or daddy. And they've been pretty good. And I mean, even things like kids in their class, parents getting divorced, different churches, they ask about body parts, all that stuff. And I agree, we are very open and honest, and we say things are what they are, and just let them kind of lead that conversation. But I mean, we always are reiterating, you don't keep secrets from mommy and daddy, and you can ask us anything. We are never going to be mad at you.
And I have found with doing that, my kids talk to me about more stuff already at 11 and 8 than I ever talked to my mom about in my whole life, even now.
Yeah, because my parents were not open like that, and so I definitely that was one thing growing up. I was like, I'm going to do that different with my kids.
Yeah, and me too.
That's good. So I think we're all in agreement that your role as the parent is the main discipler of your children, and we as a church are just here to help encourage you, give you tools, resources, help, everything along the way. So what would help to encourage you or help you along in that journey, to help you disciple your kids more on a regular basis, especially let's talk about when we're not in the middle of lockdown, when we have busy schedules and life is moving 100 miles an hour. What would encourage you and help you as a parent in your role?
I like something with structure, like, I don't know, and this is a lot of work, so it might be too much work, but personally, like, kind of like a daily devotional, or like something where it's like specific per day, because like the one worksheet that Paige gets in the room, that's kind of like 6 different things. To be completely honest, like when I'm working, which obviously when we were in church, I was working. So like we would do really good for like a day. We try to get like 1 or 2 questions done. And then like it just kind of like we didn't do the rest of the week. Like I do better with like right now, Page's teacher gave me like a calendar with like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
Friday, and like exactly what to do, because like I probably have maybe an hour tops like free time with my kids at night between like bath and getting dressed and doing dinner and the necessities I have to do every night. So if I have to plan what I'm gonna do, and that's basically why we just stick to like our reading our storybook Bible and like stuff where I keep it routine and keep it the same, because I don't have time to do the planning aspect, even though I should make time. But I guess that's where
I
I'm
agree with that. It's so hard when you're a working parent to like try to coordinate and navigate all that and just fit it all into the daily routine.
Mhm. So what's the difference between like a daily, because Christy, did you say you would like a daily devotional, but the thing
Yeah.
they bring home isn't a good tool? Like do you need it sent to you daily? Like, would that help instead of getting it in mass in one, all 6
Yeah.
lessons at one time? Just get
Even, I mean, I wouldn't even need it sent daily. I could get it on Sunday, but then have it divided up. Like it's what we get for me with little kids is too much to do in one sitting. So like,
yeah.
So like, and I mean, it seems so dumb to say this because all I could do is like take it and write Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I could do that. But
I get it.
But it's a different feeling when someone else is telling you do this on a certain day also. So I get that.
And I mean, I guess I've just never even thought to do that myself. So there's an idea for myself.
Yeah.
I can start doing that.
I love it.
I think
I can put days of the week on things.
I think a lot of what we do already is really helpful. I like that we're getting the email about the information that we get, because sometimes I lose papers or leave them in the car or they get on the floor and stepped on and stuff. So I really like the digital aspect of it when we started doing that and getting some information via email. I like that. I'm not a good paper person at all.
Can we take just a little quick vote about that? Who would rather have digital? You can just raise your hand.
I wasn't getting it.
Who's better with paper?
Probably me.
Okay.
I think the nice thing about digital is you could print it out if you wanted to also, if that's better for you.
At work I can, but at home I don't have a printer.
Oh.
So.
Yeah. And thinking of the masses, probably not a lot have access to a printer or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have a printer at home either, but.
Any other ideas of what would help encourage you discipling your children at home besides a daily devotional? Or is that like great, just like that?
Well, I was thinking about like our older kids, if there's some sort of app or Bible games that we could get access to, have guided devotionals on that. And not necessarily my kids are little too. My 7-year-old maybe could do it. But for older kids, even high schoolers, would be like, I have a daily devotional I do on my phone.
Yep.
Something like that would be age appropriate. And I don't know if those exist.
Oh,
But
I've never looked into that, but that's a great idea. Oh shoot. Why do I keep doing that?
Yeah, we found even on YouVersion, that Bible app, they have devotionals and you can invite friends or whatever. So if your kids have an account, like our teenagers do, so we can do a 5-day devotional together as a family, and you can like comment in it.
Oh, that's cool.
And then other people can read the comments. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
I would say especially like with kids at sports and stuff.
Yeah, because they can do them at their time. Like my kids like to do them at night when they go to bed, and I'm already, I go to bed before they do a lot of times these days. So they can do them whenever they want, but yet we can still interact as a family on there. So I like those.
What was the name of it?
It's the YouVersion app. Do you have that Bible app that for your, it's just the Bible app. It's a YouVersion. So it's
A YouVersion.
Yep. It's in the App Store. It's a free one, and there's lots of great devotionals in there for all ages. So it's nice.
And you can I think you can even like I have invited people to certain like plans. I think I have the YouVersion one because it sounds similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So like you can invite everybody, not just like family. So that's kind of
Right.
cool too.
Yeah, because Jessica, your name always pops up on mine as a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually in a group right now. I have been for this is the third week of Revelation. My niece invited me, and there's like, I don't know, there's like, I think this time there's like only 10, but she invited like 30 some people. So it's actually really neat. And you don't have to comment if you don't want, I mean, if you miss a day, nobody's going to yell at you or anything like that, but it is nice. And it reminds you of, to get your reading in today. And so it just, even if you can't get it in the morning, and if you remember at night or halfway through the day or whatever, but it is actually, that is quite nice. That's a nice, anything that reminds me throughout the day for me is helpful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can do paper or digital. I don't know, I kind of look at both of them and use whatever fits at that time. But, so the YouVersion is nice. It's very, very nice and helpful.
I think it's based on age too. Like for myself, I definitely prefer the digital, and then for my kids, I definitely prefer the paper. So.
Well,
And I
it's
know
nice, I think, to teach them or show them, actually have something physical to show them and say, so it's not just all digital.
And I know one thing is I always have the best of intentions to make it to the Parent Connect meetings, and it just hasn't happened yet, but I feel like that could be a good resource that already exists too, just because it kind of gets you, connected with people that are in the same life stage as you are.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to talk about that? I know Jackie wrote a little bit. Can you guys see Jackie's comments in the side?
Yeah.
Okay.
I see Jackie now.
Yeah, you can read her comments on the side. She talked a little bit about that. Does anybody else that has been to a Parent Connect want to speak to that?
I have. Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, I think it's nice just to have a little time as parents and have that connection and ask questions of each other and find good information to help our kids. I like them.
Those are kind of geared or aimed towards training more, helping parents learn from each other and, just kind of to train each other in this, because I don't know if any of you guys had great role models growing up of how to disciple your children, and I didn't really. And so I think if we can all help each other along the way, that's a good thing. So do you think that, or can we just talk a little bit about, I guess, the training aspect? Like, does training help other parents along in that way? Do you think that that's a valuable resource for parents as they're seeking to disciple their kids?
I think so. I like that it's more personal, and I know it's supposed to be so that you meet other parents at the same stage of life with the kids and stuff, but I feel like I've gotten more out of it for learning. Okay, now I specifically know something else I can do with my kids. So, I mean, even though I have met some of the parents, which is really nice, but that's, I think, something more that I got out of it was just a more personal, obviously it's not one-on-one, but learning a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. And I think just finding things that I didn't even know existed to even look for, like I got that Action Bible, or like the comic book Bible, and Cade loves that. Like, he would never ever sit down and read a storybook Bible even, but he will read that because it's in comic book form, and that's much easier to get him to get interested in and read Bible stories in. And I didn't even know that existed. I had no idea. So that has been super helpful.
Yeah, and that came from another parent. That came from Leslie. I have girls, so I've never seen a comic book Bible, so that was great. Anybody else want to talk about training or any other resources that are helpful for you? All good there? Is there anything that discourages you from discipling your children, or is what is the biggest barrier? Maybe that's a better question. What's the biggest barrier for you in discipling your kids in your home?
Time. I was just gonna
Yeah.
say time.
Time and life in general, getting all the necessities done. And I know this is a necessity too. I don't mean to say it like that, but like feeding, clothing, bathing, putting kids to bed.
School.
And like some other people, when I'm working, I don't, I have an hour with them at night. Kate goes to bed at 7:30. So, I have a very limited time, and I try really hard to make good use of that hour, but it's not a lot.
It can be overwhelming to try to fit everything into that short window in the evening.
Yeah. So I think that's the biggest discouragement for me, is just it's overwhelming at times to do everything you need to do.
Yeah, and I'm not real patient. So when I'm struggling with life in general, I feel like I'm like, come on, we got to read the Bible.
Right.
Like, great. This is
hurry up,
really
read
going to be
this.
good for the kids. Yeah.
Let's pray about loving Jesus.
Yeah. Get your coats now. Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I get like that too. I understand.
That's a good point, Jackie. Does everybody see Jackie's point on the side about
Absolutely.
About feeling as the only parent leading this with their kids? Do you feel that way, or do some of you have good support from your husbands?
My husband is very helpful with stuff, like he'll do dishes and things like that, but he's not very church oriented. So that part of it is all me. So that is hard, definitely.
And I'm the opposite. He's very supportive getting to church. He doesn't help much around the house with stuff, remembering things, or taking the initiative to start like, oh, we should do this with the kids. But the initiative has to come from me.
So what can we as Colwood Church do to help you, encourage you, not just the tools that we give, but how can we encourage you day in and day out? What are maybe things that speak to you or help give you encouragement the days that are long, the days that you don't have time, the days when you feel all alone and you're the only one leading this in your homes? What can we do to keep you, I guess encouraged is the word.
I agree with Jackie. She wrote, keep sending the text messages. I like now that we've been quarantined or whatever we call it nowadays, the live little devotionals that you guys do throughout the week, just kind of randomly. I think that's pretty cool. I think that would be something that would be kind of nice, just sprinkled in throughout when we're back to normal too. I like that.
What is that? Where do those come? Is that like something on Facebook?
On Facebook
Yeah.
Live, just randomly kind of throughout the week. They've done a couple, I think, right, Cal?
Yep, we do them twice a week, but they are on our Colwood website as well, colwood.org. If you go there, there's, I it's under the video section with the sermons, but it'll have, I think they labeled them COVID devotionals or something. So,
Oh, yes. Okay.
But, yeah.
I did see those. Okay. That's good to know because I'm not on Facebook. So
Yeah.
that'll be good.
And Kelly, I've been struggling a little bit with like finding, I think you said you have some kids stuff somewhere, but I haven't really found anything as far as like kids stuff. Like, and I don't know if that's being on Facebook shared or like on the website, the Cowwood website, or
Yeah, most of the kids stuff has been shared on Facebook, or I've sent it through email if you're in our email group.
I think
Right,
maybe
you would be.
I have to
So one
update my email. I think it might be going to a different.
Okay.
Same.
But this
One
Yeah.
thing I noticed with ever since the whole like quarantine thing is I didn't realize like how many multiple Colwood Facebook pages there were, and I realized that there were a couple that I wasn't following where that's where content was being posted.
Okay.
There's like the member one, and then there's just like the more public one, and then there's the kids
Call with
one.
kids one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that's maybe a
I think
problem.
those are the three main. There's a private one that the world can't see. So that's mostly for prayer requests or whatever. That just that doesn't get a whole lot of traffic. We don't do too much with that. So then there's the Colwood Church main page, and that's the public one where the videos are shared and the content and the devotionals and all that kind of stuff. And then there's Colwood Church Family Ministry, and that will have all the kids' videos.
I don't think I'm following that one, maybe.
So,
And I was going to comment too, like how they said to keep doing the devotionals. Honestly, the streaming of the videos online is really nice for us. Like if we're on vacation, for your shut-ins, or
Yeah.
like when we are going to the kids' church where they go to school, because we are splitting time pretty much 50-50 now. It's nice to still have access to the Colwood ones as well.
yeah, we've heard a lot of great feedback about that too. And that's one of our tasks when we get back in action to work on that for later.
Yeah, I think for a lot of churches, they found
Yeah.
that actually is a good resource.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm. One last question, and then I'll let you guys go. What can we do as parents, as moms here around this little video circle? What can we do to encourage one another in this discipleship journey with our kids?
I suppose we could communicate more with each other. Like I never talk to anybody else from church when I'm not at church, which is probably my own fault because I don't reach out and get to know people, and I probably seem unfriendly, but I'm not. I'm just, I don't know.
For me personally, at least, like I feel like as like an adult where you've got so many different priorities all the time, it's so hard to like make friends and meet new people, and because you're always kind of on to the next task and stuff. So I think just having opportunities to like make the connection to kind of start those relationships.
Yeah, it's hard when you're a parent, especially of youngers, when you have littles in your house, to prioritize anything for yourself. That's
Yes.
tricky. So, for sure, I get that.
I
I know.
think, Kelly, you brought up small groups before, and I think, what a couple people are saying, and I think personally for myself, I think for a while I've been thinking like doing like some kind of small group. Like I think like a lot of people are saying the communication, like you need that, and unless you plan for it with how busy we all typically are, like it's not going to happen. So, unless you're Kelly and texting the whole world every day, but, I think doing groups or like, really planning communication, I think should probably be more of a priority.
Yeah, good questions, Jackie, about small groups. And it's definitely hard to put into schedules for sure, especially when we're running around. It just has to be, for us, I guess I can just speak for us. When our kids were younger, especially, we just had to decide that that was something that we wanted to do. And we invited other parents that had younger kids. So we were kind of all in the same boat. And we used to meet at our house. It was 2 levels. So the adults would meet upstairs, and we threw all the kids in the basement with a teenage babysitter. And it was probably nuts down there. I don't know, but we just met for an hour, sometimes 2, just to have that parent time, you know, of being able to talk to an adult. And the Bible studies were sometimes great, but sometimes we just laughed with each other for a while and just prayed, or, you know, something like that. I think sometimes we get focused that small groups have to be so rigid in a Bible study, and that's great. But sometimes when you have, especially when you're in the throes of parenting, it's nice just to gather with other parents to just talk about real life and you know, talk about things like we're talking today. How do you do this? How do you do this with your kids and stuff like that, and just pray for each other. So
I wouldn't even mind doing like a Zoom small group. Like I would do this as a small group. We live far away. We don't live in Caro. We live in Essexville. So for me to go to a small group in Caro for an hour on a weeknight is impossible. And I don't know that there are a lot of people that live close enough to me that would, you know, over in this area. I don't know that there's anybody else that lives over here. So for me, that's small groups always been hard because it's impossible to come. I shouldn't say impossible. It's not impossible, but it's nearly impossible to do that on a weeknight, to do a small group in Caro for me.
Same for me with Marlette. And working in Cass City, it's kind of a tricky setup. But yeah, maybe we could use technology a little more to help out.
Yep. We could get Jackie's sound to work so she could be a part of
Yeah, poor Jackie. Fingers are gonna be sore.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that, you know, this whole situation is kind of making us aware of, is that there are these other avenues available that we can use to our advantage all of the time, not just right now.
Right. Good. Any other good thoughts? I think that's all amazing. Thank you for your help today. I appreciate it, and all your good input. And we're definitely working to serve you really well. And